everyone. Can you hear me? Oh, I can hear me. Thanks, Chris. Come take a seat. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here today. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. Thank you very much, everyone who has made it. We are here to celebrate International Day of People with Disability. My name is Laura. I am from AAA Play. I'm the manager of the program, and we recently just went from being a metro-based program in August to covering the whole state of Victoria, which is very exciting. So consequently, thank you. Consequently, to my left here, we have a tripod set up and we are currently Instagram and Facebook live streaming so that our regional audiences can help us to celebrate this amazing day. So let me just give you a bit of background, please, about International Day of People with Disability, which fortunately, while I've been planning this event and other programs across the week, I've been able to say that a lot, so I've got it down pat, but it's quite a mouthful the first time you do try and say IDPWD. Every year we celebrate International Day of People with Disability, and this has been since its inception in 1992. Thousands of community organisations have held International Day of People with Disability registered events across Australia. And the theme for International Day of People with Disability for 2018 is empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. This theme focuses on empowering people with disabilities for an inclusive, equitable and sustainable development as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So I would like to just very quickly as well let you know about AAA Play, and I'm sure most of you that are in the room here are very familiar with us, but also for the people who are tuning in online, just to give a bit of scope. AAA Play is a state government funded program proudly operated by Reclink Australia, and we help to connect people with disabilities to sport and recreation programs offered across the state. And we do this by working closely with all of our fantastic partners at the various regional sports assemblies, state sporting associations, peak sporting bodies, and other important disability organisations within the state. So I get basically to do the very best job in the world because I get to go home with warm fuzzies every single day. I would now like to please introduce to you to say a couple of words our wonderful CEO of Reclink Australia, John Ballis.
Well, I'll tell you, being the CEO of an organisation delivering sport recreation opportunities right across Australia is one of the most privileged positions to be in. But also, when I come to an event like this and take after someone as talented as Laura, it shows the depth of the skill set that we have as an organisation. I want to take the opportunity firstly to also acknowledge the traditional owners of this land on which we meet and pay my respects to elders, both past and present and in the future. To all of our invited guests, thank you for coming today to this launch. To Michael Brown, our new chairman of Reclink Australia, thank you again for joining us. This is Michael's first formal engagement, official engagement as chairman of Reclink Australia, and we trust one of many, many to come into the future. To the representatives from Sport and Rec, of course Andrew and Rachel, thank you for also joining us. It's really important for me to acknowledge that Sport and Rec and of course through Andrew and his team, who have been the architects for establishing the Access for All Abilities single port, web port information service now 6 years ago actually, Andrew. So it's an extraordinary journey that we've been on now in partnership with Sport and Rec. Also, I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of you, and that is representatives of the community, state sporting associations, local government authorities. It's great to see Richard from Disability Sport and Rec, a good friend of Reclink Australia. Thank you for coming as well. and of course all of the other groups representing those agencies that we work with to access and provide information to people with disability and their families. I need to importantly acknowledge our very important invited guest, and that is Kelly Cartwright. Kelly, we thank you so much for joining us today and celebrating this occasion and being part of the panel. So thank you again for joining us. And of course, importantly, to our AAA play ambassadors, and we have a number here that I'd like to at least acknowledge moving forward, and that is Chelsea. Chelsea, if you'd like to stand up so people can see who you are. Harry, if I can get you to stand up as well. Andre. And also just to acknowledge Jenna, who's also supporting the AAA play team. So again, thank you so much for attending. To Laura and to Seb, the two driving powerhouses of the AAA play team, thank you so much for putting this together. And of course to the wider Reclink Australia team, thank you for also supporting this.
Thank you, John. It's time to meet our special guest for this morning. She is a gold and silver medal Paralympian in long jump and set a new world record in 2012 for this event. As if that wasn't enough of an achievement, her latest passion is powerlifting, where she has already represented Australia at the World Championships and Commonwealth Games. The world record for able-bodied powerlifting is now in her sights, and with this record of achievement, it would take a pretty brave person to bet against her. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce Kelly Cartwright. Do we need to move a bit closer? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good? Oh, is that, sorry. I'm getting thumbs up from Chris. I probably don't need a microphone. I'm trying very hard at the moment to keep my...
I'm the same.
So thank you very much for coming and joining us, Kelly. It's a pretty impressive resume. We would like to start, if we can, to do a couple of get-to-know-you questions.
Sure.
So our first question is, when you were growing up, what was your favourite PE game to play?
PE game, I actually loved all of PE. I knew there was a lot of kids that would sit on the sideline and forget their uniform every day, but I was the one that actually was putting my hand up for everything. We actually got to play netball a lot of PE, and netball was my outside sport as well. I actually dreamed as a young girl to play netball for Australia. That was my dream. I was centre or wing attack, and I umpired. I played weekly. I grew up in a little town called Port Arlington in Geelong, and my brothers played the football team as well, so local football netball club. And I grew up just loving it, and up until I was 15, obviously, when I lost my leg, that was, my dream. Yeah.
So had anticipated that an athlete would say that they've loved sport the whole time. So I have thrown into this one, what was your least favourite or most challenging sport that you tried?
Least favourite? Look, to be honest, long distance running. When I was at school, we had, cross country. I thought I was a good long distance runner, and every time I went, I actually made it to zones once or twice, and I gave up halfway through twice.
Wow.
And my dad, I don't know, just that long distance. I don't know if it's because I physically couldn't do it or just the thought of I had another 3Ks to go. But my dad twice, got out of work to come and watch me, and twice I gave up when I saw him on the sideline, and he never came again, and I I decided never to do long distance. I think that's why I went to sprinting.
Yeah, well, and you've done, I think, made a great decision. And you've kind of already answered to us what kind of sports you did after school.
Yeah.
Did you do anything other than netball?
No, to be honest, when I lost my leg at the age of 15 in year 11, I didn't know that I'd be able to walk again, let alone run. And unfortunately, with my disability, netball was a bit hard because of the running blade that you need to run and start. So I couldn't wear on a netball field. And for me, when I decided that I wanted to get back into sport, I looked to running, and I didn't look to running to compete at the Paralympics. I just looked to running to be fit for everyday life. And it wasn't really till after year 12 that I started seriously training for athletics. So after school, I became a full-time athlete in athletics. So there was sort of this stage where I went from netball every day, loving it, to not knowing what I was going to do, to becoming a full-time athlete in sprinting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So as I mentioned before, we're really excited because we've gone from operating as a metro-based program for the last 4 years to now covering the whole state of Victoria. So huge expansion. And part of that, we now cover the Ballis region, including Leisure Networks, our friends out there, as the RSA, to help facilitate programs in that area. Having grown up in Geelong yourself, can you tell us about your experience accessing inclusive sport in a regional area?
Yeah, to be honest, at the start I found it very difficult to navigate my way through not just starting running but finding a way to become competitive. I was down at the athletics track at Landy Field, and it took me, I think, 5 times to get out of the car to actually go into the athletics field because there wasn't a group of one-legged runners I could go and join with, or anybody really with a disability. So it was daunting, it was scary, but eventually I did it, and that's when the doors started opening, and that's when a PE teacher actually at school came up to me and said they've got a Paralympic talent search. So regionally they're really great with Paralympic talent searches. They're great with putting you in touch with people in the same way. But for me, it was actually quite hard, and I still find it every now and then that I get a message that asking someone with a disability asking me how do I get into sport, or where do I go, or what do I do. And my answer to them is go to your local club. It doesn't matter if there's a disability part or an able-bodied part. Everybody welcomes you with open arms, and sometimes you just have to train with them for a while to figure out where to go or what to do. And usually you'll find somebody who knows somebody that knows somebody, and that's what happened with me. And even though I was the only one in Geelong on the track with one leg at the time, it started opening doors for me, and that's when I started to realise there was a lot more people around.
Yeah. And you found your community.
Yeah, I did. And Geelong, the reason why I'm here today is, they got behind me and raised money for my first running league. So regionally, I'm very lucky that I grew up in a town like Geelong and Port Arlington, because the tight-knit community, got behind me 100%.
Amazing. And I suppose this kind of very much leads into the story you were talking about, sitting in the car and not wanting to get out. What is your advice to empower people with disabilities, and in particular women as well? There's huge focus at the moment with the This Girl Can campaign, to really try and get that equality across our genders. So in particular women who think that they can't be involved in sport, what is your advice to them?
Firstly, you can. I think that people worry too much about what people might think, and that's what happened with me. I was too nervous about what people might think going down the athletics track with one leg running 30 seconds for 100 metres. And then I started to realise, going down to that track, these people weren't there pointing fun at me. They were there to support me. They'd never seen anything like that, and they were there wanting to see me succeed too. So I think people need to get out there, put their foot in the door. It's hard to build confidence, but I think they need to realise that they have just as much right doing that than everybody else. And make connections. I've already sort of talked about some connections here today about LinkedIn. I'm not really good on LinkedIn, but I will be after today. But, the internet these days, research people. I get people asking me all the time, where can I go, what can I do, how did you get involved in sport? And there might be a netballer or a footballer or somebody with a disability or a woman in sport that you want to know their journey. Contact them, connect with them, because that's the way we work now. We look at connections, we look at the way other people work, and we can hopefully follow in their footsteps. But I think people need to believe in themselves more. I think, I was 15, 16, so obviously I was a bit young at the time to fully believe in myself. But it took me a few years, and once I did, I realised you get one life, you get one chance at life, and you really need to do what you want to do and what you love.
Thank you. That is amazing advice. Can I please get you to give Kelly a round of applause? I'm going to introduce now and welcome our panel to jump up on stage. If I could get David and Chelsea, please, to come and join us.
Hi, Chelsea.
Thanks, guys. How's everyone doing out there?
Pretty good.
Awesome. one of our AAA Play ambassadors. Now, before I rave about her wonderful accomplishments, for those that are not aware of what our AAA Play ambassador program is, we work with an amazing group of individuals, and John introduced a couple of them that are here today, and they range from as young as 6 years old. Sunny Renison, who has only just turned 6 recently, so I don't dare get that wrong and downgrade him to a 5-year-old. I have been told off previously. So they do range from 6 years old all the way through, and they cover a range of amazing humans, from just everyday people to professional athletes of all genders and all disabilities, able-bodied and intellectual. And so we really love welcoming these guys into our little world, because they help to, much like Kelly's talked about, really champion the fact that anybody can do it, and really spread that word. So without further ado, please let me introduce to you Chelsea Howard. She's represented Victoria in track and field while completing Year 12 and was honoured with the prestigious Pierre de Coubertin Award. I'm not French, clearly. This award recognises students' academic and sporting excellence, but perhaps most importantly, the recipient's dedication to Olympic values, especially sportsmanship. It's pretty easy to see why Chelsea was invited to become a AAA Play ambassador, and we're proud to have her with us today. Could you please give Chelsea? So Chelsea, as an ambassador for AAA Play and a very successful young athlete, what have you found most valuable in helping you to be more active?
Well, just the fact that when I was younger, I wasn't really that interested in sport, but when I moved up to high school, I really started to see how inclusive sport can be, and basically exploring all the different programs for athletes with disabilities through the years, and it's really taught me a lot about not just about myself, but also about others around me, like Kelly, for example.
Awesome, thank you. I'd also like to please introduce you to our next panellist. Most of you are already probably familiar with David Moody. He's the State Manager for National Disability Services, also known as NDS, and is a great friend of Reclink Australia and AAA Play. NDS is the National Industry Association for Disability Services, representing over 800 non-government organisations, and operates several thousand services for Australians living with all types of disability through their members. These range from small support groups to national multi-service organisations. David's passion is social justice and assisting vulnerable members of society to improve their lot in life. Please make him welcome. Thanks, David, for being here today.
Thank you.
So you've been in the sector for quite some time, as well as supporting AAA Play for a number of years. And those conversations that you've been engaged in have really focused on the importance of supporting people with disability to engage in sport and recreation. So can you talk to us a little bit about what those major trends key trends and major shifts around those conversations that you've had that you've noticed?
Thanks, Laura. I think what we're seeing is a really positive trend in terms of the willingness of people with disability, and as importantly their support networks, to actually see the virtue of risk, rather than basically wrapping people with disability in cotton wool and saying that they shall never basically play mainstream sport because people with disability don't play mainstream sport. They shall never actually do recreational activities with people who don't have disability because that doesn't happen. Instead, what we're starting to see, and it's particularly notable in our experience with Gen Y parents and Gen Y people with disability and millennials, is the notion of empowerment, the notion of we people with disability and we supporters, we families, we want to be part of the same community as everybody else. And we insist on our right to take the same risks or similar risks as everybody else. And I think it's really important to emphasise that. There's a real sense of empowerment in the disability community. There is this phrase, I was hearing a lot yesterday at the International Day of People with Disability events, nothing about us without us. And I think it's a really powerful phrase. It basically is an assertion by the disability community and people with disability of their right to be involved in everything that everybody else is involved in, and at least to be measured as human beings with the same rights and abilities and capacity to give stuff a go as everybody else.
Yeah, awesome. That's amazing. Thank you. So I have got a question that I'm going to go through and ask each, one question for the whole panel. So we might start with you, Chelsea, seeing as you're down the far end there. So the theme for International Day of People with Disability is empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. What does that mean to you?
It means to me, basically, I should have thought this through properly. It basically means to me gathering up every single person with a disability and just saying to them, you know, if you're interested in something such as sport, then don't be afraid to give it a go, because what I've learned during my sporting journey is you never know what you might achieve, because when I went to represent Victoria, I didn't know that I was going to be able to walk away with two bronze medals, so it blew my mind.
Awesome. Thank you. Kelly, do you want me to repeat what that thing is?
No, it's okay. I'll
You
speak.
Tell us, what does the thing mean to you?
Oh, look, it means a lot of things. I've thought about this a lot in the last couple of days, and for me, I try to spread the word on disability weekly, monthly, yearly, but yesterday was a day to celebrate people with a disability, but also raise awareness, and, you know, raising awareness here amongst peers and corporately in schools, but I truly believe it's with children, and I think that we need to raise awareness and start with kids, because that's where resilience is built, that's where acceptance is built. Everybody goes through school, whether they have a disability or not, and then I think it's more raising awareness for teachers as well to be more inclusive. You know, when I went back to school after losing my leg, the PE teachers really didn't know what to do with me, and they didn't really have to do something specific. They kind of just needed to include me back to where I was, and they didn't. And it wasn't so much their fault, but they'd never dealt with something like that before. So I think it's about raising awareness of that we're all the same. We may not look the same on the outside, but we all want the same things. So yesterday, and you know, celebrating disabilities is a way of moving forward to make sure that everybody's treated equally. And I think it's moving really well. We're getting there, but we have a lot more to work on.
Yeah, awesome. Can I just throw in a follow-up question that I haven't pretty straightforward? When you say about you know, the teachers didn't actually know how to respond to be able to allow that inclusiveness, what would you suggest, you know, going back as your 15-year-old self, if you could kind of have had your parents go in there and pre-prep the teachers, what would that advice be to, you know, treat you as part of the whole class?
Yeah, firstly I would say don't treat me differently. So maybe, you know, obviously yes, I lost my leg, I came back, maybe I was on crutches, maybe I eventually got my leg, but to include me in something, give me some part of a job in the sport that we're doing, give me something to do. And then also get me off the bench. I lost my confidence. I lost my way of thinking when it came to being a 15-year-old and being normal and being out there and playing sport. And I think we need to they needed to act confident. They needed to get me off the bench. They needed to include me, and then everyone around me would have sort of gone, oh, okay, yeah, that's she wants to give it a go. It doesn't matter how she does it. It might take her 20 minutes longer than me, but she deserves to do it. And I think it's not so much about picking them out and you know, necessarily pointing out their differences, but just trying to include them as everybody else.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So, David, sorry, I digress. I'm going for the value of everyone else. So the question that we're asking is empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. What does that mean to you?
At the risk of at least merely building upon what Kelly's been saying and others have been talking about, I have to say that I think that we would get to a point of being reasonably confident that ours is a society which is in the business of empowering people with disability if every school teacher, if every principal asks not what can't you do, but asks what can you do. I really think that, if one of the first two kids in the state school system, and one of whom basically needs support, having a society in which, rather than people with disability being, if you like, asked to self-censor in terms of what they can't do, particularly kids at school, if we could get to a point where the school system, the mainstream education system, started off a conversation with every child and every parent asking what can they do, that would be, we'd be on the path to empowerment in that regard because it begs a positive conversation.
Yeah, amazing, thank you. Can I get a round of applause? Thank you for questions. Do we have time for some questions?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anyone out there who has a question for any of our wonderful panellists? Joan, I'll put your hand up at once. At the office or home, wherever you stream from, if you have got questions, please text them in the comments box and Seth can come and read them out if there is something that someone would like to ask. Anyone? Richard?
Question for you, David, because you're familiar with the NDIS and how the rollout's going.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
David, obviously you're very aware of the NDIS and know that you're not the NDIS and you get that confused a lot.
Thank you.
Just make that very clear.
Thank you very much.
So I'm not having a go at you, I'm just asking a general question. What do you think about the NDIS rollout and how it's supporting people with disability to get more involved in sport and recreation?
Well, thanks for the question. Basically, National Disability Services is the peak body partnered with Carers Australia and the Australian Federation of Disability Organisations under the banner of every Australian campus some years ago now to support the NDIS. So everything I'm about to say should be viewed through the prism of our active support for the scheme conceptually and in reality. But it's fair to say that the scheme's it's been a bit clunky in terms of its rollout. It's been a bit clunky in its implementation. It's fair to say that the planning process could have stood a world of improvement in the early days, and in fairness, the agency, the NDIA itself, acknowledges that. It's also true, however, to say that the evaluation of the NDIS by those who are participating in it, NDIS participants, people with disability, is getting increasingly positive. I think if I point to, I think the most positive statistic associated with the scheme is the fact that more than 50,000 Australians under the scheme are accessing disability services for the first time in their lives because of the scheme. And that, on any measure, has got to be worthy of acclamation, I think. For all, as the representative of disability service providers who are having to navigate a very complex system, I can bore the audience for the next 2 hours with a range of issues. I won't, I promise you. I think that if the NDIS has achieved nothing else, and it's achieved much more than this, it's stimulated a positive conversation about what it means to have a disability and what it means in terms of community's expectations of how we support people with disability. And that's also been very positive. I think community attitudes are changing, at least in part, because of the existence of the acronym NDIS.
My name's Aiden, I'm going first before Rachel. I'm also from Disability Sport and Recreation like Richard, but I had a question for Kelly. Obviously the last year particularly we have seen more of that awareness you're talking about for disability sport. What do you think it looks like in 5 years' time? What would you like to see in terms of disability awareness?
Look, I'd love to see it nationally on TV, wheelchair sports, the Paralympics. Yes, we've got Channel 7 rights, but they didn't put a lot on in the Rio Games, so it'd be great to be on national TV everywhere in Australia. I think more programming in schools to raise awareness for kids to start at the grassroots, because I think that's where it really starts, from kids. Yes, people acquire disabilities later in life, and we still need to work on those and those resources for people. But in 5 years' time, I want to see at school or wherever they are, someone with a disability just playing normal football as much as they can with everybody else and being included. I think we need to, in 5 years' time, I hope we don't look at people and go, they have a disability, we look at their abilities. And, we don't necessarily look at somebody and firstly see their disability, we see them as a person. Yeah.
Thanks. It's Rachel from Sport and Recreation Victoria. My question is for those sport organisations and organisations here that offer activity for people with disability. Is there one piece of advice you can give them, other than promoting themselves via AAA Play, how they can connect in with communities of people out there wanting to do something?
I'm a little bit biased here, but what are you talking about other than? I suppose for that question, is there someone in the audience that wants to actually respond to that? We're kind of throwing it a bit backwards here, but there's a lot of state sporting associations and peak sporting bodies and the likes. Is there anyone who wants to speak to that? Alison, I can see that a hesitant hand raised there.
As you might know, I'm from SNAP, and we have autistic programs for autistic kids. We go through the school network. We also go through social media. We are parents of autism ourselves, so we put discussions. We're a little bit enclosed in that the networks that are online can be quite, protective of themselves. Private, very much private. A lot of them you won't find on social media search, but they're out there and they're in the hundreds and thousands. And we don't necessarily like to be sold to, because there's a lot of focus on disability, especially with the NDIS, and there's a lot of people wanting to sell to us. So we're a little bit protective that way. I would suggest that if you do find somebody with a disability within your network, then just ask them to spread themselves within that network, because guaranteed you find one, you'll find a whole load of them behind them. So when you do find somebody, then ask them to promote from within their disability network.
Awesome, thank you. And I suppose Chelsea and Kelly, you both probably could talk to this very much as well from a participant perspective. How have you gone about finding programs for yourselves?
Look, social media is massive these days, but also putting yourself in touch with people from like-minded sports. I know now in the last, when I started sports 14 years ago now, it was actually very hard to find somebody to go to maybe with elite sport, but I know now if you contact your local netball club or your local basketball club, athletics group, there's 95% of the time they'll know somebody to contact. They'll know that there's already a group of people with a disability training, and there's already maybe a coach or a leader training somebody with a disability. So I think people need to reach out and start. It's not necessarily going to be there right in front of you, all the answers, but I think you need to start connecting and talking to people and getting on social media and getting on LinkedIn, which I'm going to get on, like I keep saying. I think LinkedIn is a great thing to do, so I think, getting on there and connecting with, like-minded people, or the people who, want to see the same change that you do. Yeah.
Well, from what I've learned with experiences, 9 out of 10 times that there will be like someone in your area or even in your school. In my case, because I'm still studying at the moment, and that will guide you in the right direction to success. And that's what I've pretty much learned from experience. Yeah.
Thanks. Or you could go to thank you very much, everyone. I would like to now invite Reclink Australia's recently appointed chairman, Mr. Michael Brown, to officially launch the AAA Play Find a Leisure Centre search database. Michael comes to Reclink with a wealth of executive and corporate governance experience in the world of sport, having been CEO for the Rugby League World Cup in 2017, former Chief Commercial Officer for the National Rugby League, former CEO for the AFC Asian Cup, and spent 10 years as Deputy CEO and General Manager before this. Michael, could you please come up?
a kind introduction. It's a staggering statistic that 1 billion people live with a disability every day. It's 15% of our population. One of my roles is as Chief Executive of Virginia Park Stadium. I work closely with the local Liberty Mears and the Leisure Networks program, and I see the wonderful work that they do in our community. We must not stop that work. The theme for this year is empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality. AAA Play will be celebrating this fantastic event with an amazing lineup of guests, and will be launching on the AAA Play website a new accessible search feature for leisure centres with disability-friendly facilities. For the first time, people with a disability and their families will have the access to a single website with comprehensive information about the accessible facilities offered by these leisure centres across Melbourne. The AAA Play website will provide information on the leisure centre facility, its location and its contact information, the number of accessible car park spaces, acceptance of companion cards, carer card discounts, accessible change rooms and hydroponic pools. AAA Play is a searchable directory of more than 650 sport and recreation programs available to people with disabilities. We launched in 2013 as a Victorian Government initiative and are proudly operated by Reclink Australia. Since then, we've supported more than 72,000 users to access a range of activities within metropolitan Melbourne, and now, as said recently, we're now supporting all of Victoria. We've now reached a milestone of 1,000 email subscribers, 1,700 Facebook users, and more than 3,000 unique visits in the last month. AAA Play is constantly striving to better provide people with disabilities and their families, friends and carers with the assistance they need to fully participate in daily and community life through sport and recreation. We know that being able to access information easily in one central location increases the likelihood of a person with a disability to engage with a sporting club and activity. As someone who's been involved in sport for over 30 years at every level, I really support what Kelly said, that the number of people who want to reach out to support people with disability is amazing. And for us to be able to continue to do that at every level of sport is really, really critical. Because our sport is one wonderful thing for our community, and it's a great opportunity for us to ensure that we include all members of our community, not just those who feel sport belongs for them. I love the saying, nothing about us without us, and it's certainly something that I remember, so thank you very, very much. I'm pleased to formally launch Find a Leisure Centre, pleased to formally launch Find a Leisure Centre search directory.
That pretty much wraps it up for now. I've got a quick thank you gift for our panellists.
Thank you.
And please give them a round of I believe there's still coffee and things down the back there if you've got time to stay around or have a chat. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. That's a good question. I think it's literally just